Yeah, he's there. I think he's unmuted. He's just muted. Yeah, he's muted.
Great. 1 second, hold on, Adishna. Hello, Shreyansh. You're visible. It's okay. Hi. All set. Sure. Let me know when you're ready. Yeah, perfectly. No, I can hear you and see you perfectly. Okay. Are we good to go? Okay, great. I can see we also have some followers who've already started joining in. So, hello everyone, and thank you for joining in on our discussion today. Today's discussion is a part of our series on. Hello, can you hear me? Shreyansh, can you hear me?
I think he dropped out because I can't see him.
Can you hear me, Shreyansh? Okay. Okay, hi guys. There seem to be some technical issues, so just hold on for a few minutes and we'll be right back.
Yes.
Hello, Shreyansh. Is everything
I
okay?
yeah, actually there's slight network disturbance.
Okay, no problem at all. I hope you can hear me properly.
Yes, I
Okay, great. And let's begin then. I can see a lot of our followers have already started joining in. So hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining in today on our discussion. So this discussion is a part of our series on the occasion of World Mental Health Day. And the theme this year has been mental health in an unequal world. On that note, we are having a quick talk today on the topic of mental health in the LGBTQIA plus community, which stands for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and allied. So this community has often received a lot of stigma, discrimination, and faced various barriers towards accessing mental health care, not just in India but also outside. Now, we commonly believe that mental health is something that is not very important, or physical health usually takes prevalence over mental health, which is not the case. Mental health is as important as physical health, and people from the LGBTQIA community are also prone towards developing certain mental health difficulties. And that's what we are here to talk about today. I have with me Mr. Shreyansh Sharma as our guest speaker, and we're delighted to have you here, Shreyansh, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts, your views, and your experiences on this topic. Could you please
thank you so
introduce yourself
much.
for our viewers?
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for inviting me. First of all, it's like a great opportunity for me to present the problems of my community, mental health problems of my community, which has been unspoken for a long time. And about myself, I am Shreyansh Sharma. I identify myself as a trans androgynous person, which means I express masculinity and femininity at the same time. And also about my professional life, I am a part of Symbiosis Center for Peace Resource Management for the past 8 months. I've been working here as a research assistant, and I also graduated from Symbiosis School of Biological Sciences, pursued my MSc in biotechnology. Yeah, so that was me.
Thank you so much, Shreyansh, and thank you for agreeing to speak to our viewers today. So my first question to you would be that when we talk about mental health in an unequal world, there are many difficulties or inequalities that even the LGBTQIA community has experienced. Could you shed some light on that and also share your own experiences in terms of that?
Yeah, sure. Um, so for somebody who is from LGBTQIA plus, has one or the other instance had always had this one or the other instance of discrimination, um, probably when they were growing up, they were discriminated, or maybe later during the job opportunities. So discrimination within the society has been constant thing for the people like us. And there are childhood bullying, which leads to several mental health problems. And it is quite tough, as a child when you're growing up, the growing up age is hampered. Your mental health is hampered then, right? So very at a very naive stage, also they face a lot of big traumas, which results into mental health issues. Apart from that, I think so. I was your question. Can you elaborate it?
Yeah.
What do you exactly want to know? The unequal treatment by society.
Bullying and other things that people have experienced from the community. So, are there any specific difficult experiences that you yourself have also encountered?
Yes, I'm pretty comfortable talking about it, and I would also add something to it. Is um, while I was growing up, I was always bullied, and then I moved to a place for my higher education, and there I got a little support from my friends, which actually encouraged to be me, to be myself. And after after I became myself and started expressing femininity, now the problem is it actually attracts a lot of danger to me. So I have also gone through a trauma recently, which has hampered me a lot. The entire confidence was shattered. I was isolated for a long time. So now I've come out of all that, and I'm very happy that you gave me a chance to speak about it, because experiencing something is different, and telling somebody else's experience is different. So I am the one who has actually experienced it, and it is so true that mental health issues do develop because of traumas that we.
Right, absolutely. And I think over here, the fact that you mentioned there were some people who supported you and that helped you feel more comfortable with yourself. I'm sure that would have been a great source of comfort and courage for you as well. So I'm wondering who were the people who kept you positive and empowered through your journey?
Um, to start with, my best friend. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, through my journey of queer life, or through the fights or the battle that I had with my mind recently.
Both. I think both would somewhere go hand in hand, right? Where your journey would have impacted your mental health, and your mental health would have greatly influenced the journey you've had and the way you have perceived it.
Yes. So throughout my journey, of course, I had a lot of best. I mean, I have friends who have supported me, and later my mom also is in terms with it. And is still trying to come in terms with it. But yeah, she has been a supporter always. She never uh, disowned me or asked me not to study. She always encouraged me to study first.
Hmm.
That's why I'm here. And when I was going through this phase of my life after that trauma, my entire department, which is SCWRM, and especially Pooja ma'am and Pratibha ma'am, really helped me to get out of it. Pooja ma'am was the one who actually gave me Girija ma'am's number and asked me to contact Girija ma'am as early as possible, and that's how it started. So after sessions, I started feeling much better and better, positive.
And it's wonderful to see how far you have come in terms of taking care of your own mental health and well-being. And I can see that the support of those around you played a very pivotal role in helping you not only take care of yourself but also to cope with all of the traumatic and difficult experiences you went through. So I was also wondering, according to you, what do you think is the reason behind this discrimination still prevailing in our society?
Unawareness about gender identities, of course.
Mhm.
If we see the entire world sees the world as binary genders only, either one or zero. They can never be in between. So which is totally
Correct.
wrong a concept. So the non-binary does exist, and it's the awareness which is required within the society. And moreover, how do I tell you? Like, if more people come out from my community and be there in the society, of course, most of them are in closet, so none
Mhm.
of them know. So if it becomes a very rare case, so once it becomes a very common thing, people will also start.
So, Can I say over here that it's a two-way street? People are not really accepting non-binary people. There's a lot of stigma. There's a lot of discrimination, like you rightly said, that is preventing people from coming out of the closet. And because people are not coming out of the closet, it's difficult for others also to understand them and where they come from.
Yeah, very true. So this is about people who have come out and struggling, also face mental health issues. But imagine the people that who would not come out. They don't have anybody to go and tell them that I am this or I am that or I feel this way. But also keep all that stuff within you, and also when whatever mental health issues they are having because of this, they will never be able to come out and forget about coming out. They will never be able to reach out to a counselor. They'll never be able to reach out for help because they themselves are so scared that they have put themselves in a closet. So, what about them? How do we?
Absolutely. I can see you make two very valid points over here. Firstly, they themselves have not yet come out of the closet, so they would be leading somewhat of a dual life where they feel differently, but they have to put on a mask and behave differently around people. And secondly, because of this, they would also face a lot of barriers in terms of accessing mental health care services or even just ensuring their own mental health and well-being. Right? So, what impact does this have on their mental health, as well as what impact did it have on your mental health?
Um, well, I was also in a closet, and I still remember when I was in closet, I had suppressed so many feelings of mine. I could never tell my parents what goes in school, like what happens in school, or how people are bullying, or how people are treating me, or how boys actually don't let me play with them. So all these things I had never told because I could never tell. It was a very simple thing for me. Like my parents will never understand. So what is the point of going? So that actually has developed a little stress related disorder in me that I suppress my feelings. I mean, my emotions, I don't have a control on. They're extreme. So either I'm extremely happy or I'm extremely angry. It's everything is extreme because of suppression in my childhood. So this should not be the case. I mean, parents also should be about gender orientation, gender identities, and sexual orientation, so that their children can tell them what they're going through if they are
Absolutely.
anyone else. Yeah.
And I think parents,
It does impact. Yeah.
yeah, and like you said, the lack of having that safe space, the lack of understanding was what prohibited you from expressing yourself to them or sharing what you're going through with them. And that suppression can greatly impact our mental health, and it can bring up a lot of difficulties in coping with it, not just in that moment, but also in the future, the long term effects of it. So, when did you realize that all of this became a barrier for you or for others to reach out for psychological support?
So for me, it was never the case. As you know, I already told you that I have already I've seek counseling. And I am okay with accepting myself. I'm not healthy mentally. I'm okay to accept it. So the very first thing, the barrier that becomes is you yourself have to accept, and you have to be aware first of all that there is something called mental health. And if you are not mentally healthy, there are symptoms that will, you may be trying to come up with some substance, but there will be still symptoms that will turn up and tell you that, listen, you're not mentally healthy. So you have to be accepting towards that. First barrier is self-acceptance of mental health. Second one, awareness. I mean, yeah, acceptance ke pehle comes awareness. So yeah, awareness of mental health is very important, which is totally lacking in LGBTQ. I mean, I can still say transgender people like they don't know what is mental. All they know is let's get our bread and butter. Whatever happened at the end of the day, let's forget it. So as you know, the Indian culture of trans people are they beg on trains or streets. They face a lot of trouble every day. They must be right there. So all they do is at the end of the day, they drink up and forget everything. And next morning we are back to work. Back to not work, back to finding our bread and butter for them. That is again a big barrier.
So I think for them, survival needs would take precedence over mental health, emotional health, and all of those other things, and quite naturally as well. For them, earning their bread and butter is a bigger priority in that moment. And maybe if they have a stable quality of life, if their basic needs are being met, then they might be able to shift their focus not just on mental health but even on their physical health and well-being.
True.
Right. Are there, so you did mention barriers in terms of awareness, but I'm also wondering, are there any barriers that are encountered in terms of accessibility and affordability?
Well, affordability again is a problem because uh, there are very less government developed hospitals. There are very less which deals in sciences and psychiatry. So they don't have so much of money to go to private hospitals, private counselors. So affordability is a big issue there. Um, because most of them they earn like what they beg and earn. So I'm talking about the lower class of the gender, the lower class of the transgenders, like how we say the class of the society is under poverty line. Yeah,
Hmm.
but yeah, above them, I think if somebody faces that, they should actually be able to afford the counselors. They even do. Many of them have actually accessed a lot of counselors. So the accessibility issue develops because of affordability issue. If you can't afford, you won't access. If you can afford, if you are aware, you will be able to access. That's how it works.
Right. So I can see that all of these factors are somewhere intertwined, where you need to have self-awareness, you need to have acceptance, you need to also be able to afford it, because unlike some countries, we don't have insurance for mental health in India yet. So affordability also becomes a bigger factor over here, and all of this might serve as barrier in accessing healthcare services for them. Right. Okay. So, how have you coped, before you were able to access mental health care services?
I was sinking into depression, so my hand was probably alcohol. To feel better, I used to feel anxious in the evenings, and
Hmm.
so because I worked the whole day, I never felt that anxious during the day. But eventually, when I go back, I'm all alone, and I started analyzing the whole trauma and everything.
Hmm.
Whatever. Basically, I was in self doubt from the beginning. Why me? Was it me who was responsible for this life? No, right? That's what I started questioning,
Yeah.
and so on made me go into depression. Coping mechanisms don't work. I had to finally wake up and take a call. You
Hmm.
have to go to a psychologist.
So I can see that there were certain coping strategies that you tried, but you realize that it's not a long-term strategy. It's not something that's going to be helpful for me in the long run. And that moment served like a wake-up call for you, which made you realize that you need to reach out for professional support. Okay, that's great to hear. And I would also like to know your views on what do you want to see happen as a path to making mental health more accessible or more equal for everybody.
So, mental health is for everybody, but then it is not accessible by trans people or not only trans, by LGBTQIA because they are not told that it's okay to be them. There are certain uh, things that you need to be told. Like it's okay if you accept, but first of all, the inclusivity has to be brought in. Only then they will feel that they are a part of the society, and once they feel they are part of the society, they will be opening up about okay, how do they feel.
Right.
So that is important. So campaigns related to awareness and mental health awareness is a thing that needs to be taken in consideration. And say, what do you know? First of all, make them aware that this is, and most of the people in India think that this is a mental illness.
Hmm.
So, and also, some quacks do claim that it is just totally wrong, and we should actually let more people in India know that being trans or being from LGBTQI is no mental illness. It's but natural thing. Like so that is important.
Absolutely, and that's a very important point that you brought up, because there is this myth that being from the LGBTQIA plus community means that you have some form of mental illness, or being homosexual or being trans itself is a mental illness, which is not true at all. And there are a lot of unscientific practices also that have come up which claim to cure such kind of illnesses, which is again not true, and that can such kind of myths can further deter people from reaching out for help. And there is a need to create awareness all around all of these issues, like you rightly said. So where do you think we at SCEW can contribute and do our bit in this?
Well, Symbiosis Center for Emotional Wellbeing, I think, is already doing great. As you deal with all the emotions and all stuff, so my suggestion would be, as Q and in Symbiosis, we have to make Symbiosis more inclusive. Should have support groups, if possible, support groups for LGBTQIA plus, and not only support groups. My whole idea is, I think we should all we should ask all the campuses to come together, or their LGBTQ members to come out of the closet, come together, be themselves, celebrate themselves as, and also hold a pride march within Symbiosis.
That's a
So that will
wonderful
be
idea.
something.
Yeah,
That will be something very new, but yeah, we should actually have a pride march. That makes other people also more aware, and that
hmm.
makes them comfortable and inclusive. So works both ways, symbiotically.
Definitely. And like our motto itself is, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family. So the idea that you propose would actually is conceptualizing that idea very well. And it would serve all of those goals that you mentioned of inclusivity, of awareness, of making them feel accepted. So that's a wonderful idea that you have shared. Thank you so much. And is there any takeaway message that you would also like to share with our viewers today?
There's only one message that I want to give you.
Hmm.
It's like, let's all make an inclusive society, because we are humans. We are all evolving. We evolved through something which was like not even a man before. So can you believe that now when we have been given this life of human, we should all be together, inclusive, and all I want to say is, let's make an inclusive society and let's grow. So symbiotically depending on each other, that's how organisms grow. I am a biologist, that's why I talk like this. but
Not at all.
but so that's one thing which is existing in nature, and we are a part of nature. Never forget it. So we might be a variation in nature, but you cannot ignore them. Now let's just be human first and grow. That's the goal.
Definitely. That's a very beautiful message, and it was very well put that before anything and everything, we are first human, and let's treat each other humanly.
Yes.
So, thank you so much, Shreyansh, for your valuable words and for sharing about your experiences. I'm sure it must have taken a lot of courage for you to come here and share all of these things with us today. I'd also like to thank all of our viewers for joining in and for listening to Shreyansh's experiences and on our conversation today. I hope you all found this to be an interesting and enriching conversation. If you've liked it, you can also check out a video of a webinar that we had done on the same topic of gender, sexuality, and mental health, just to educate yourselves and know more about this topic. Because I think the key over here is that all of us educate and make ourselves aware about all of these issues and become true and worthy advocates for them. So thank you so much, everyone. And do follow our social media handles to stay updated, as Shreyansh has rightly mentioned. Thank you so much, everyone. And do follow our social media handles to stay updated about this and more such events. We are also going to be conducting a lot of other activities throughout the year. So you can stay updated and stay connected to us there. Thank you so much.
Left.
Still going on.
It goes on for some time. थोड़ा lag है उसमें. Not completely lag, but it is there.
Vilas sir, you can stop live streaming to YouTube now. आमचं session झालं. विलास सर.
येस मॅडम, करतोय.
हा, थँक्यू.